Okay, this is my video about my tampering in 2006 at the Omni Hotel in Austin, Texas. And what I did was I went down there for 2 days to get like a bank and an apartment, and then I came back home, and then my parents moved me down there permanently, you know, a day later for 3.5 years. I knew I wasn't going to live there as long as I did in Kansas City, but I lived in Kansas City for about 6.5 years. In Austin, Texas, I only lived there for 3.5. So anyway, I stayed at a hotel for 3 days and 2 nights, and I did not know what motel or hotel I was going to stay at, or what room I was going to be in. But when I was still in this town, before I went down there, something had communicated to me to tell me that whatever room I stayed at and whatever hotel I stayed at was going to be haunted. Like, I already knew that. Something was communicated to me saying, you know, whatever room you stayed at, whatever hotel you stayed at, it was going to be haunted. You know, which is really weird because, like, I thought it was my spirit guide telling me that. But it really was an entity. It really was, you know, like a reptilian entity or whatever. So, like, I already knew that, which is very weird. So, anyway, so when I got to the airport in Austin, Texas, I asked around, like, where should I stay? And so they recommended this motel at Governor's Row. And so anyway, I took a shuttle bus, and they took me to the hotel, and which was kind of weird. Over to my left, I realized, oh wow, that's the building I'm going to be working at. So that was kind of convenient, because I already figured out where the building was that I was going to be working at for 3.5 years. So anyway, when I got to the Omni Hotel, I ended up staying in room 617, and this entity kept sitting on my bed. But I thought it was an earthbound ghost. It kept sitting on my bed, kept, you know, nudging around the bed. You could feel these entities when they're on your bed, nudging around the bed and stuff. You can totally feel them. So anyway, and not only that, but if you go partying on 6th Street, which the last time I went on 6th Street was in 2009 around Halloween, and oh my God, no wonder there were so many evil entities lurking around, and you know, all these crazy assholes that roam around 6th Street. See, me and Brenda, we got out of there by 9 p.m. And oh my God, you can feel the entities. You can see the entities. You can see the smoky stuff in the air. You can smell them. You can feel them, and you can hear them. You can hear that noise of the entities. You can hear the force. You can feel the force of these entities. You can hear it. You can smell them, and you can see all that smoky shit that they leave behind, these entities, when they lurk around. Yeah, no wonder there was so much of that energy going on, because it was Halloween. And of course they're gonna be lurking around, crazy fuckers, roaming around 6th Street, you know what I'm saying? So you want to get out of there by 9 p.m. because, you know, all the craziness goes on after that. So anyway, yeah, another thing too, it's kind of funny. I kept saying to my sister in 2010, before I moved back here, when I was still living in Austin, Texas, I was telling her, I just don't feel safe, man. I don't feel safe. And I said it many times when I was at work, roaming around the parking lot. And then, of course, a day after I reported back to work here, like a day, I reported back to work here, you know, on a certain day, which actually was my birthday. And then a day later, some dipshit flew a plane into a government building. Which I did work at a government building, but not that building. So yeah, so I was feeling something, I just didn't know. I mean, I did feel like it was something that was going to be kind of close to home. You know what I'm saying? And it was close to home because it was at a freaking building. It was at a government office that I worked at. I mean, a government entity that I worked at. But not that particular building. It was the building a few miles up the street. I think about 7 miles up the street. It was about 7 miles from this building that I worked at. That's the place where this psycho guy flew his airplane into the IRS building, actually, yeah. But I didn't actually work at that building, but it's like I was feeling something. And then I reported back to work here on a certain day, and then it was a day later, that's when the guy flew the airplane into the IRS building, and like one person died. And my sister was like, that's so weird, you kept saying, I don't feel safe, I don't feel safe. Just, yeah, which is kind of weird, and out of the blue, I didn't even think that it was really weird to say that at the time, you know? But the funny thing is, the secretary that works with me at this office that I work at now, she thought that was kind of weird too. She's like, okay, you just like reported to work today here, and then a day later you just came from there, and that's when the airplane went into the building of, you know, the IRS building or whatever. So yeah, even she thought that was a little bit weird. Although, you know, it wasn't the actual building that I worked at, but I was still feeling like some imminent fucking danger, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's kind of weird. But yeah, Austin, Texas is a pretty cool town and everything, and I had a lot of fun, man. Yeah, and I just happened to meet somebody within 60 days of moving there, and so we hung out pretty much, not the whole 3.5 years, but at least 2.5 years we did. So I had a whole bunch of fun for 2.5 years, and then that last year, well, I was kind of alone a lot, but I kind of had some health issues or whatever. So that's when I moved back here in 2010. So anyway, something was trying to communicate to me that, and like I say, things kept getting in the way. I mean, every time I'd have these alien encounters, everything kept getting in the way. Or a lot of things were getting in the way, telling me that it was ghosts or spirits. Like when I was 21 and I had a bunch of alien activity, right about that age, my Uncle David died. So I kept thinking it was ghosts giving me all that activity. I kept thinking it was his ghosts. and like all this stuff kept getting in the way. And then when I learned about, well, it's like I was learning about all this spiritual stuff, you know, like when I was reading Sylvia Browne. And then I would have all these experiences. Everything I learned, I experienced. But yet, I thought it was all spirits and ghosts. It was really weird. But yeah, I like Sylvia Browne, but she didn't understand the deeper picture. She doesn't understand that it's mainly not spiritual stuff, it's all alien stuff. But yeah, she was a cool lady. I met her several times. You know, I went to some of her lectures, and so I met her that way. I never did do a reading or anything. I actually did think about it, though. I did think about it, but then it's like she decided to never want to meet people in person anymore. She just wanted to like do it over the phone or whatever, and so that kind of turned me off. So anyway, I'm glad I never did a reading, because I know it's all full of shit anyway. That's just all mind control. When people think, oh, let me go get a psychic reading, you know, they're just mind controlled to think all that shit is really like valid and real and stuff, when most of it is not. You know, it's not. But okay, so anyway, so in 2006 of August, I went to the Omni Hotel. And like I say, I didn't know what hotel I was going to stay at. I didn't know what room I was going to stay at. I knew it was going to be haunted. Okay, so I mean, I was like scared both freaking nights. I mean not like terribly scared, but I was scared. I mean, I freaking probably got only 2 hours of sleep, if that, the whole freaking 2 nights I stayed there. And but man, I had fun. Yeah, I remember raiding the little refrigerator. I think I racked up at least $60, you know, worth of like beer and chocolate bars and shit. You know, when you get into the little refrigerator and stuff, they charge you shitload of money for that. Of course, now I can't drink, but I mean, yeah, it's probably a good thing, because I probably would be if I could. But yeah, and of course, like $30-something a night, you know, racking that shit up, you know, from eating the food and drinking a beer. I mean, you know, that's kind of a lot, you know, they charge you a lot for that stuff. But yeah, so I had fun. Yeah, too bad I didn't know my friend. Too bad I didn't meet my friend by then, because, you know, she could have came and hang out with me. But I didn't meet her until 2 months later. So it was around August 15th, I moved permanently. But it was like August 11th and the 12th, or the 12th and the 13th is when I went to Austin, Texas for the 2 nights. I mean, for the 2 days or whatever, before I moved back permanently to Austin, Texas. I just went down there for a couple days by myself to get a bank and to try to find an apartment. But I didn't know my friend then. I didn't know Brenda then. So, you know, I didn't meet her till 2 months later. So yeah, so I just went by myself. But like I say, I wasn't by myself, man. This fucking entity, I was not by myself. This entity kept me company the whole damn time. But I was, you know, scared. So I kept the freaking lights on. I mean, all night long. I kept the lights on for both nights, and I probably only got like 2 hours of sleep. You know, 2 hours of sleep the whole damn time I was there. So it was like a 3-day, 2-night ordeal. And like I say, I mean, I didn't want to fall asleep because it's like I knew I was going to be tampered with. But I thought it was a ghost. I mean, yeah, I thought it was an earthbound ghost. And like I say, something communicated to me. The entities communicated to me that I was going to have an experience. But it was interpreted in my brain that, okay, my spirit guide communicated to me to tell me that the motel or the hotel was going to be haunted. Yeah, that's how it interpreted in my brain when these entities tried to communicate to me. And yeah, you can totally feel these entities nudging the bed, sitting on the bed. I mean, big time. You can feel them. And so anyway, But also, I don't think that, you know, this was the same being as the one that actually, I mean, I don't necessarily think it was the same being as the one that actually sat on my bed, like physically. Back in 2004, I woke, I mean, no. 2004, okay, I didn't go to bed till anywhere between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. back then because I worked nights. And so I lay down at 6 a.m. and I wasn't even asleep or anything. I mean, I was still in 3D. I was totally in 3D. I was not in an altered state of consciousness. I lay down at 6 a.m. I closed my eyes, and what the deal was, the entity was drawing energy from me to manifest physically on my bed. He was drawing my energy. No doubt about it. Because I had my eyes closed and I immediately started feeling myself shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Like I felt like I'm almost like 5'11" or whatever. I felt like I was shrinking to about a foot tall. And I kept feeling like I was shrinking and shrinking. Because he was drawing my energy. He was using my energy to help him manifest physically on the bed. I know he was. So then I opened my eyes. He was sitting there on the bed. The left, I always had my bed to the ground. I always liked sleeping on the floor for whatever reason. I never put my mattresses, once I got out and lived in my apartments all this time, I never had a bed frame and stuff. I always slept really low to the ground. I just had the mattress and the box springs. So I was low to the floor, and he manifested on the left part of my bed. The left side. And I was just like mesmerized. I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, you know. And he had a big old hobo backpack on, one of those big old long hobo backpack. I guess it's called like a camping backpack. I don't know what they're called. It wasn't like a normal backpack, you know, like a normal school backpack. It was like totally like a long camping, like a hobo type of backpack. Yeah, and he felt like he weighed about 385 pounds as he sat on my bed. And, of course, he didn't show his face or anything, but it was a reptilian being. I know it was. And, of course, all these many years until about 3 or 4 years ago, I thought it was my spirit guide's friend, Mabe. I mean, no, Danley. Mabe is the more white-collar looking black guy, and Danley is the more kind of poor, bum-looking black guy. My beautiful ancient Egyptian spirit guide came to me around 2002 or 2003, and then I knew she had 2 black friends named Danley and Mabe, and I thought it was Danley, because I knew Danley was the more poor type of black dude, and he's not very attractive, but Mabe is pretty attractive, like a white-collar black guy. And, so anyway, I thought it was Danley that was sitting on my bed. And now I realize, it was a reptilian being. I realized that, when I became awakened, that it was aliens all my life that kept messing with me. And so I became awakened to that fact about 3 years ago or a little longer, that it was aliens, messing with me and had been messing with me all my life. I didn't wake up to that till 3 years ago or a little longer. And that's when I started thinking back, and that's when I realized that was a reptilian being that manifested on my bed. But he did not show me his face. He just, he manifested as a 385-pound entity, 385-pound human. I thought it was a human spirit, Danley, but it wasn't. It was a reptilian entity. And like I say, it felt like he weighed freaking 385 pounds. And he felt benevolent. He totally felt benevolent. Like, totally. Totally benevolent. Okay, so, now, I don't know, I mean, as far as I know, he probably did, when I fell asleep, he probably did take me on a journey, either a virtual reality experience, or maybe even an astral journey, Or maybe he just, gave me a lucid dream. I don't doubt it. He probably did. But I didn't, I didn't document all of my awesome lucid dreams and virtual reality experiences I had back then. I didn't document all, because I've been having those all my life. And, like, everything I have is done by the aliens. They even told me that. Every single dream I ever had, every lucid dream, every virtual reality experience, every out-of-body experience, every remote view, I did all that all because of them, not because my own brain has this special ability. It's because they made me do all that and gave me the remote views and gave me all the out-of-body experiences. It was because of them, not because of myself and some special ability. It's because they gave me the special ability. So anyway, I don't believe necessarily that that was the same being that manifested energetically and ethereally in 2006 at the Omni Hotel. I mean, but it could have been. You never know. It could have been. But this time he did not manifest as completely physical like he did back in 2004. And, but you never know. It could have been the same being. And so anyway, so this is what the deal is. These beings, and I remember this all my life, I would hear my name being called many times when I was young. Like, I'm talking young, like 8, 9, 10, 7, 11, 12, 13. I would hear my name being called many times when I'd be alone in the living room or the dining room. I would hear those high-pitched, they can try to talk to you from their dimension, and they'll sound like high-pitched noises. Yeah, just recently I'd be talking to the reptilians, and I'd be in my car. And I'd be like, will you wake me up in case I accidentally oversleep when I'm taking my break in the car? And yeah, and they'll wake me up. They'll try to say something, but it's, because it's coming from their dimension, it'll be like this high-pitched noise, Yeah, okay. So anyway, this being, so anyway, when I was in the Omni Hotel, several times I heard that noise, they were trying to say something, or he was. It was just one entity. I don't know if other entities were also watching the experience, but it was just one entity, and I have no idea what the agenda was. I mean, it was just, I think you just tampered with me for shits and grins. I mean, sometimes they just tamper with you for shits and grins, and they have no agenda. And this was one of those times where I don't think he really had an agenda. Okay, so the reptilian being kept sitting on the damn edge of the bed, down at the bottom to the right. And I was actually sleeping on the right side of the bed, and he kept sitting on the right side of the bed at the foot of the bed. And like I say, I just kept thinking it was an earthbound ghost, and I didn't want to fall asleep because I kept being scared. I knew it was going to do something. So I didn't want to fall asleep. So anyway, I turned on all the lights and stuff because I was scared, So I turned on all the lamps both nights. I mean, I probably got 2 hours of sleep both damn nights. And so anyway, what this being did was, I mean, I love going out of body, man. I love it. But this particular time, this experience pissed me off. Totally pissed me off because I knew I was being screwed with. I knew I was being tampered with, but I didn't know. It's kind of like I subconsciously knew it was aliens, but it wasn't meant for me to know it was aliens, so I just kept thinking it was an earthbound ghost, and it kept pissing me off because I knew I was being jacked with. So anyway, so finally, apparently I finally got to that appropriate groggy, spot in my brain, and what he did was, I immediately went out of body and levitated, not my physical body, just my astral body. I went out of body probably 3 or 4 times over these 2 nights. It was like 2 or 3 times over these 2 nights that he kept taking me out of body. Well, anyway, I immediately, he took me out of body and I floated to the ceiling. I even touched the ceiling with my hands. I touched it. I floated over to my right, to the window. I was on the 6th floor, to the window, and I just kept kicking it and kicking it and kicking it with my astral foot. I just kept kicking it because I was mad. I wanted the hell out of there. Because I knew this entity, I knew this, what I thought was an earthbound ghost kept screwing with me. So I just kept kicking it with my astral foot. And of course I couldn't break the glass because I was astral. And I don't know why it tampered with me, but it took me out of body like that 2 or 3 times over the 2-night period. And, but yeah, I mean, like now, I mean, I know who they are, and I love going out of body. I just love it. I love it. I love it. And I love going out of body back then when I was astral traveling all those years from 2003 to 2006 every day. I loved it. I loved it. But this time, you know, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it because it's like, I knew deep down, you know, that I don't know. I just knew deep down it wasn't really a ghost. That it was, but I just didn't know about aliens at the time. It wasn't meant for me to know about aliens, but I knew I was being tampered with and I didn't appreciate it. And so I was mad, you know, I really was mad. And that's why I just kept kicking it. I wanted out of there. I wanted out of the damn motel room. I wanted out of there. And I just kept kicking it and kicking it and kicking it. And, you know, I don't know if, when I did fall asleep finally, you know, I don't know if he maybe gave me some, you know, sexual, virtual reality type of experiences in my altered dream state. They do that a lot now. But I mean, he could have maybe done that, but like I say, I can't remember all of that. Because I didn't, you know, really pay attention to all my virtual reality dreams and my lucid dreams and blah, 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 blah. Now, the first time that I actually did see consciously an alien was when I was, well, that would have been around, let's see, 2003. That was the first conscious time I actually saw a cyborg type of gray when I was at work and I was getting groggy and I had my eyes closed. And yeah, and after I saw him, I like woke back up. I opened my eyes when I was sitting in my cubicle and I was like, wow, you know, I guess they really do look like that. The other impression of what I thought they looked like, I'm not sure what it was exactly, but I was just like, wow, I guess they really do look like that. But I know I already had another vision in my head of what I thought they were supposed to look like. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was stupid back then. I wasn't fully awakened. I wasn't even fully awakened to the fact that, you know, the dimensions is all infinity and all that shit. I mean, I remember this one coworker said, oh, well, I heard that there's like 12 dimensions. But like, how freaking stupid is that? There can't just be 12 dimensions. It's all fucking infinity. You know what I mean? And all these entities are all infinity, you know? There's all infinity amount of entities in all those other dimensions. Just like there's an all infinity amount of human beings. I mean, if human beings kept reproducing, you know, it's all infinity too. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was the first conscious time. Oh yeah, and too, by the way, like within about a week, within a very short time of seeing that gray cyborg type of alien, my cat was physically abducted out of my kitchen for about 45 minutes, or maybe about an hour. Yeah, she was physically abducted out of the kitchen. She was placed back in the kitchen. And of course, all that time, I was having all these abductions and tamperings too. At least a lot of astral abductions. I'm sure some of them were probably physical abductions too, but my brain wasn't ascended then to see my physical abductions. Now it is, and they can't hide from me. When they physically abduct me, it's very horrid, and they cannot hide from me. So, yeah. Okay, so anyway, back to the Omni Hotel. So, he took me out of body many times, and I just like floated straight up to the ceiling, and I was even touching the ceiling with my astral hands. It was fun, but at the time, I didn't think it was so fun. And, okay, and the only other significant thing that happened was the fact that Okay, so I thought it was an earthbound ghost, and so in my head, I just felt like that it probably committed suicide, you know, because you always hear about people committing suicide in hotel rooms. Yeah, so you always hear about that. And so I thought it was an earthbound ghost that was messing with me, and that I knew it was a male. I knew it was a male. I knew this reptilian was a male, although I thought it was a male ghost. And I thought he had committed suicide. And so the reptilian entity communicated to me and said, you know, go look behind the chair over there in the corner. You know how most motel rooms, they'll have a chair over there in the corner? And yeah, he communicated to me to go look behind the chair in the corner. And I did. And I did see some red stuff on the carpet, and I thought it was blood. But to tell you the truth, I don't know what it was. It could have just been like paint or something. But yeah, like, so yeah, this whole experience was kind of weird, you know? I mean, because I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, because they already told me they was gonna do something to me when I was at home before I even went to Austin, Texas for the 2 days. And like I say, I already knew before I got there that the motel room, whatever motel room I was going to stay at, whatever room I was going to be in, that it was going to be haunted. I already knew that. I just didn't know what room number I was going to be in yet till I got there. I didn't know what hotel I was going to stay at till I got to Austin, Texas. And like I say, so then I get to the hotel room, and they made me, or I mean, not they, but him, he made me go out of body many, many, many times. I don't know, you know, what else they did. I mean, you never know. I mean, I guess when I fell asleep and stuff, they could have, you never know. Some grays could have showed up and just tampered with me, you know, at my, you know. Yeah, sometimes I think that they do that. Yeah, I know they do that. What they'll do, they'll make you go out of body, and they'll distract you. And then they'll be at your bedside screwing with your physical body. Yeah, they do that. And so, you know, they could have done something like that. Like some grays could have showed up, and they just could have tampered with me, you know, like a cow or whatever, because I have no doubt that they're farming us. Some of them anyway, not all of them. But yeah, it would definitely be considered farming if you believe that everybody in the world is being tampered with, which I do. So like Carla Turner said, then you're not being visited, you're literally just being farmed. Yeah, and I do believe that. There's some grays that are definitely messing with me, are definitely farming me, I have no doubt. But, you know, there's all these other millions and millions and millions of ETs that's not their agenda. You know what I'm saying? It's not one way or the highway. Okay, so anyway, so yes. I do believe that was possible, or it could have just been the reptilian tampering with me, and the whole time maybe did some things physically. Like I say, it could have been a sexual thing. It could have been a sexual situation. I mean, I can't remember if I woke up aroused. I cannot remember that part. So I mean, I don't think it happened that way. I mean, the only thing I remember is just going out of body many times. He made me go out of body. I floated to the ceiling at least 2 or 3 times out of the whole 2 nights. I kept floating over there to the window, and I just kept kicking it, because I was frustrated. I wanted the hell out of there. Okay, and like I say, the only other significant part was that, like, see, like, it's weird, because even though they're in another dimension or whatever, they still know anything that's in your house or your motel room or whatever. Because apparently he must have known that there was some kind of red spot behind that chair. And he was just going to go along and lead me to believe that he was a ghost, and that, you know, that this ghost committed suicide. And look, and here's to verify it. Go over here, look behind the chair in the corner of the motel room, the hotel room, and you're going to see some blood. And I did see some red stuff. But like I say, I couldn't really tell if it was blood. I couldn't really tell if it was like dried blood, you know, that was tried to be cleaned up. You know, I couldn't really tell. Or if it was just kind of like red paint or whatever. But yeah, there was definitely some red shit that stood out is staying on the carpet. Okay, and I do not remember anything else. So yeah. So that was my tampering by a I have no doubt it was a reptilian. Although, you know, most of the time, they do not like showing their faces. I mean, yeah, some will, some don't mind, but some do mind. I mean, some, it's just not important to them. They just want to fuck with you mentally or physically, and it's not important for them to, oh, here I am, see what I look like? But, I mean, it's important to us, though. You know what I'm saying? It's important to us. So, when we fucking talk to people, so we could be like, yeah, this entity looks just like this. Because it makes you look fucking stupid, you know, when you're just sitting there like, oh, well, I know I was fucked with, but I don't know what the fuck he looked like. So, it is important to us freaking humans, you know what I'm saying? Or hybrids or whatever. You know, but like I say, I've seen over thousands of them. When you ascend, you will see them. You can start talking to them, and yeah, and they will show, they don't have any problem showing, you know, their faces to you. They have no problem. But it's when they're giving you the direct experiences, the direct tamperings and the direct abductions and stuff, you know, it's not important to them for you to see what they look like, you know. But like I say, they should know by now that it's important to us. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I already know what thousands of them look like anyway. I've seen thousands of, or hundreds of greys, hundreds of reptilians. I've seen, I know what the little angelic ETs look like that give me the artwork in my backyard at nighttime. I know what millions of, well, not millions, but hundreds of others look like that just randomly would come to me when I would talk to them. You know, entities that do not tamper with me astrally or physically or any way, shape, or form. You know, I've seen the demons before. Purple-faced dinosaur demons. I've seen another little demonic entity with a bull head and a mamba snake body. And then that thing started crawling on my bed. Yeah, that thing started crawling on my bed. I could draw a picture of that. I'll be able to draw a pretty good picture of that one. Because its face is embedded in a tile at work. Every time I go into the bathroom, I look down at the tile, and its face is embedded. You know, these aliens and demons, they put their little imprints everywhere, like in tiles, you know, and you'll see them in trees. You know, you'll see them everywhere. You'll see them in clothing, their little imprints. But yeah, you'll see them in wood fences and stuff. But yeah. And like people are so dumb because they think the Greys are like they're all cyborgs and they're just all robots. And I've met a lot of awesome, I mean, I've met a lot of different types of Greys and with all different personalities. And this one Grey, I mean, it would really freak people out if most people saw this Grey, because this Grey gave off total, I mean, 95% human energy. But yet this Grey looked just like a Grey. Well, he was very easy to draw, and I did draw him. And I have him sticking on my microwave. But yeah, he is, looks just like a normal Grey, very easy to draw. But when he came to me, he gave off 95% human energy. Not 100% human energy, but 95%. He did not give off that energy like most Greys give off. Because what I was asking at that time, after that physical abduction, after my awakening, I asked who the big boss was. So he came to me, you know, in a virtual reality image state. It was like virtual reality. It wasn't a dream. I wasn't dreaming. It was just, you know, when you get into that perfect grogginess state, they can show all sorts of things to you. And he was on my right, and then he showed me the Grey, the fake rubber Grey that I had on my cell phone to my left of him. He picked that. out of my, brain. What I had on my cell phone for many months. Rubber fake gray that I got off the internet. I had it on my, my main screen saver or whatever on my cell phone. And I started talking to them after I knew who they were. And I'm still talking to them to get experiences and out-of-body experiences. And the reptilians are the most fun to play with, but some of the grays will come forward and they will also give you out-of-body experiences for shits and grins. But I don't know about any other entities that like doing that. I know the reptilians like doing it, and I know the grays like doing it. But yeah, so I asked who the big boss was. And this white collar looking gray came to me. And he put that rubber fake gray to the left of him. Like he was saying, see how similar I look? I mean, it was very awesome. I mean, like I say, because this gray was, so benevolent, and he acted like, he gave off freaking 95% human energy. He did not act like a typical gray. But yeah, some of them are very cyborg-like, and some of them, are just, I don't know, not cyborg type, but just, down to business, But yeah, I've met all sorts of them, and seen all sorts of them. But anyway, so, yeah, I wish I remembered more. But yeah, there wasn't any more to this experience. Not that I really think of. Not that I really believe. I think he just tampered with me to take me out of body. They do that to a lot of people. They just, for shits and grins, tamper with you, take you out of body. And but like I say, he maybe just got into my my brain and gave me an awesome virtual reality experience or something. And I just don't remember that part. Or they could have tampered with me, or he could have tampered with me physically when he was distracting me with the out-of-body experiences. But like I say, I stayed, the out-of-body experience, I stayed. See, that's why this experience was so different, because normally I go elsewhere when I go out of body. I just don't stay in my bedroom or in the motel room. But a couple times, yes, this female being, she gives me out-of-body experiences, and she keeps me in the motel room. She keeps me in my bedroom or my house. There's this one reptilian female that I named Venus, and she does keep me in my house when she gives me an out-of-body experience. But yeah. So this was my experience to the Omni Hotel in August, around August 12th of 2006. Thanks for listening.